Good afternoon, and thank you for coming to this professional development on technology in the classroom. You can see here, it just have a bunch of things that can share resources, and that helps you collaborate with other teachers. So if you go to padlet.com/misssainer/edu560. It's up here at the top. Padlet.com/mssaner/edu560. Right, and then the way this is an awesome teaching tool. I use it in my classroom a lot. It allows me to post different websites or links for my students to go to. So if I want them to research polar bears and I want them to look at 5 different articles or websites, I can post all those websites to this right here so that they're not going out and getting on Google and searching everything. They're just looking at the 5 that I want to look at. So we're going to scroll all the way down to the bottom because I have this set out in a, the most current is at the bottom, or the oldest is at the bottom, the most current is at the top. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jessica Sainer. I teach 7th grade at Campbell County Middle School. I teach science. This is my 4th year teaching. I previously taught 8th grade science and 7th grade math. I worked at 2 other schools, but I found my home here. And I feel like working at 2 other schools has helped me become a better teacher because I've been able to work with a lot of different experiences and work environments. And I've seen what works and doesn't work in other schools, so it can help me apply that to here. So how we're going to do this, all the posts are added in a string format. The oldest are at the bottom, the newest are at the top. Tags are going to be used to relate the content to the International Society for Technology Education Standards, which for short I'll call it ISTE. And then if you want to add, you can double click anywhere on the page and you'll be able to add a text, a link, or a file. So the first thing we're going to do is talk about copyright and fair use. This video is by Common Sense Education and explains what they are. And at the same time, we're going to watch it together. So I can just click on it. You can play it in this screen, or you could open it up in YouTube if you hit the source button, but we'll play it here.
In today's digital world, it's easier than ever to copy, paste, mash up, remix, download, and publish content. People's writing, artwork, videos, and images can be inspiring, but they're also easy to take without thinking twice. When people treat the internet like a free-for-all, legal and ethical situations can arise. That's why it's important to know about copyright and fair use. It will help you give and receive credit where credit is due. So what's a copyright? Copyright law protects your control over the creative work you make. It requires people to get your permission before they copy, rework, or share what you make. Most things that you find, download, and copy and paste from the internet are copyrighted. That doesn't mean that everything online is on lockdown and can't be used. It can, as long as you check who owns it, get permission to use it, give credit to the creator, buy it if necessary, and use it responsibly, then you're not stealing. Now, there are times when you can use a small part of someone else's copyrighted work without permission or paying a fee. This is called fair use. Fair use only applies when using content in certain instances: schoolwork and education, news reporting, criticizing or commenting, and comedy or parody. Specific guidelines, what we call the 4 points of fair use, must also be followed. First, you can only use a small amount of the work. Second, you have to add new meaning to the work to make it original. Third, you need to rework it and use it in a totally different way. Finally, you have to use it for nonprofit purposes. In other words, you can't make money off of your new creation. No matter what, it's a good idea to give credit to the creator of the work you used. It's just a sign of respect. So what should you do if you find something online that you want to use? As a rule of thumb, check who owns it, get permission to use it, give credit to the creator, buy it if necessary, and use it responsibly, which means judging for fair use. You're a creator, innovator, and inspirer. Think twice about your rights and responsibilities in our online culture, and then pay it forward.
Okay, so that was copyright and fair use. And then if you have any questions throughout this, I want you to just either jot them down or open up a file on your tablet that you have, and then we can address those at the end. And then I'm going to give you about 5 minutes. I have 3 links here, 3 articles. I would like you to skim those and read through those, and if you have any questions, just jot those down. but it's also can be applied to public elementary and secondary settings.
Hey, Jane, thanks for finding that journal article for me. I just gave it to my students.
You gave it to your students?
Well, technically I posted it online for them.
Oh, boy. Did you check with the copyright holder to see if it's okay to post that article?
What do you mean?
Since journal articles are copyright protected, you may need the copyright holder's permission to share them.
No problem. I'm using it for educational purposes, so I don't need permission.
Actually, Tim, your copyright responsibilities are quite clear. Article 1, Section 8 of the U.S. Constitution gives Congress the power to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing, for limited times, for authors and inventors...
Wow, I see your lips moving.
Nothing?
Yeah, till Torino.
Want to learn about copyright in 5 minutes or less?
Okay.
Copyright holders have the exclusive right to copy, distribute, display, and perform their work. And they have the exclusive right to create a derivative work, like when a book is made into a movie. This is why you likely need permission if you want to share copyrighted material.
Well, aren't there special exceptions for colleges and universities?
Definitely. Section 108 of the U.S. Copyright Act addresses archiving, replacing lost, damaged, or obsolete copies in interlibrary loans. Section 109 permits the resale or lending of copies of works. Section 110 permits certain types of content use in classrooms and distance education. And of course, Section 107 is all about fair use.
Doesn't fair use give us the right to share content without getting permission or paying royalties to the copyright holder?
It depends. Even if it's for educational purposes, no particular use automatically qualifies as fair use. You need to consider 4 factors detailed by the U.S. Copyright Act. The first is the purpose and character of the use. For example, if the use is intended to help derive financial or other business benefit, then it is less likely to be a fair use. Even in an educational setting, if it transforms the original, such as analyzing or criticizing the work rather than just copying it, it is more likely to be a fair use. Next is the nature of the copyrighted work. For instance, the use of a purely factual work is more likely to be fair use than the use of a creative work. Third, the more the work that is used, then it is less likely to be a fair use. Even a small portion may be too much if what is used is the heart of the work. And finally, you need to consider the effect of the use on the market or the potential market. If your use might result in economic loss to the copyright holder, then it is less likely to be a fair use. No single factor is enough. You have to weigh all 4 in order to determine if the use is really fair use.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Many people confuse the physical ownership of a book or a DVD with owning the copyright to that work. The first sale doctrine permits lending, reselling, and disposing of the copy you own, but it does not give you the right to copy or reproduce the material, publicly display it, perform it, or exercise any of the copyright holder's other exclusive rights. Attribution is another area of confusion. People think that if they just cite their source, they're good to go. But attribution is not a substitute for copyright permission. And just because you found it in a book or on the internet doesn't mean a work is copyright free. Don't be confused. The public domain only comprises those works that are either no longer protected by copyright or never were.
I don't worry about getting permission when I post reading materials on our course.
Can the boss report to the office, please?
So access is limited to my students.
Smart move, John. But password protecting materials does not replace the need for getting copyright permission. We have a responsibility to respect the rights of copyright holders no matter how we share their work.
So, when you say copyrighted work, what do you mean?
Copyright protection applies to all types of content, whether it's in print, electronic, online, or any other format. These materials are typically protected for 70 years after the author's death.
Kylie Thompson, report to the office, please. Kylie Thompson.
95 years from publication, or 120 years from creation, whichever is shorter. But not everything is protected by copyright. Ideas, facts, and data are not. Logos and taglines aren't either, although they may be protected by trademark law. Anything created by the U.S. government is not covered by copyright law, nor are works for which the copyright has expired.
For my classes, I mostly use content from books and journal articles I wrote, so that whole copyright thing doesn't really apply to me. Who would I pay royalties to? Myself.
Are you sure you're the copyright holder? While some authors do retain the rights to their own works, many actually sign over those rights to their publishers. Depending on your contract, you may still need to get permission and even pay royalties to the publisher for the use of that work. Most people don't want to violate copyright law. They just aren't conscious of how the law affects everyday use of material.
Sure, but who's really going to know if we illegally share content? Does it really matter?
Oh, it matters. It's the law. Violating copyright law can put you and the entire institution at financial risk if a copyright holder decides to sue us. But maybe the most important reason is that it's the right thing to do. Many people on this campus, including yourself, are content creators. We expect people to respect our intellectual property rights. Shouldn't we respect theirs? And instill that same respect in our students who themselves may be content creators someday? Copyright ensures that the valuable material we all rely on will continue to be available for years to come. Our needs are served by the work of copyright holders, and the royalties we pay fuel further content development.
That actually makes sense to me. Thanks, Jane.
So how do we do the right thing?
Definitely read our campus copyright policy. And if you ever need help or are unclear about your copyright responsibilities, you can always ask me or any of the library staff. They love this stuff.
Okay. And then I have one more to show you. This one is how you could explain to students the importance of copyright and how to properly cite their sources. The other two are more for like teachers. So this will be good one that you can show your students.
Do you think it's okay to take something that's not yours? Even if nobody's looking? Maybe it'd be okay if nobody was looking. Of course not. The same rules apply to items on the internet. Everything belongs to somebody. There are pictures, music, and videos all over the internet. There are copyright laws, and the copyright laws were put there so that people who own the items don't get cheated out of what's rightfully theirs. Just like you can't steal something just because it's sitting there, means you can't go on the internet and take something without giving credit to the person who owns it. People who do that are thieves, and they could end up in jail. So the question becomes, what do you do when your teacher assigns a project and you need to use media for your project? Let's look at some of the copyright and fair use rules that apply for media for students. For photographs, you can use one, but no more than 5 by the same photographer or illustrator without the permission of the creator. To use more, you'll need to ask permission. And you must include a bibliography of any work that you use. For music, you can use up to 10% of a song or musical work in a presentation. Some guidelines say you can use no more than 30 seconds from one song. To use more, you need to ask permission. You must include a bibliography of any work you use. What are the rules for videos? You can use a video clip without the creator's permission up to 10% or up to 3 minutes, whichever is less, of copyrighted videotapes, DVDs, encyclopedias, and CD-ROM, etc. To use more, you need to ask permission. You must include a bibliography of any work you use. What about text material? You can use, without the creator's permission, a poem with less than 250 words, up to 250 words from a poem greater than 2,500 words, articles, stories, or essays less than 2,500 words, part of a longer work, either 10% of the work or 1,000 words, one chart, picture, diagram, graph, cartoon, or picture per book, encyclopedia, newspaper, or magazine. 2 pages from a picture book with less than 2,500 words. To use more, you need to ask permission. And you must include a bibliography of any work you use. You may keep your project in a portfolio forever, but you should not put it on the web or make copies of the project without permission from the creator of the material. How can you be sure not to break any of the rules? That's right, just make your own media. For pictures, you can take a good quality photo from your cell phone and use that for your project. For music, you can use one of the apps such as GarageBand, or if you're talented enough, of course, you can make your own music with an instrument. The music you're listening to right now, I made on GarageBand. Fillet in the fish. They're doing all the gutting and all that stuff is over. Huh? Look at that. Very good fillet. Here's an example of a project that I made using my video camera and following all of the rules of copyright and fair use. So remember, when you're making your project, to follow the rules, always get permission, use a bibliography, and when possible, use your own media. Have fun with it.
So that would be a good one to show your students for when they're creating projects. Alright, the next thing we're going to talk about is some productivity tools. There's two different ones we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about haiku learning. It's really cool. It would work really great in a one-to-one classroom, so like one iPad or tablet per student. So this takes your classroom from pen and paper to like a paperless classroom. You're able to upload files and assignments, grade papers, and assignments, and pass them back without ever using a pen. Allows you to carry all of your class's paperwork on an electronic device, which would be great for someone like us, since we teach 180 students. Carrying around 180 essays gets a little heavy. The best part is that you can have 5 classes and 375 students per teacher and 2 gigabytes of storage for free. So for something that the science teachers could do, they could group it advanced and then integrated, or integrated gold, integrated purple. So you have larger classes, but you can still get them 5 class range, since we have 6 really. And then if you wanted to upgrade, there is like a monthly fee. You could have more classes, more students, and I think it's like $5 a month. So it's not even something ridiculous. You can log into Google Apps for Education and integrate the Google Docs and Google Drive with the school and the district version. It's not like that with the teacher version yet. I'm hoping that they extend it to the teacher, because that would make it a lot easier. So go ahead and click on this. This would be great for like middle and high school. I feel like it would be a little stretch for elementary school. But I'll sign in and I'll show you guys. I created an account, and I think I have like 1 student, just so I can check it out. And like right now, I'm having trouble getting it to sign in. If you come down here and click source, it'll actually take you into the actual website. There we go. So got that all figured out. We're all logged in. Okay, so you can see you have a calendar, and then it'll have like little announcements here with the next 7 days. And then it's got the grade summary and then any recent grade. I don't have anything in here just because I was playing around with it. But if I click on accelerated, there's a Dropbox tab. So that kind of like tells them when there's a test. I have an assignment here. So they can analyze the models, fill the table. And this is really cool because they can download the file, then they can open it, look at our pictures for this assignment, go in, and they can fill it in, and then they would save it, and then they could go back, and then they could click on this, on their end, they can click on this hand in button, and then it would tell us that they handed it in. And then you can grade it there, and then here's assessments, assignments. This is the Dropbox, and it's kind of like a, here, so this assignment is open, you can hand it in, you can get the details of it. That was just, it says test, but it was, I tested it. You can hand it in, that kind of stuff. You can have like a poll, discussion. Yeah, any discussions. It's pretty interesting. So I only have like the one class for now. And then there's this help information. And you could, search through there. So it's pretty interesting. Going back to this one. Now Google Drive, I really like. I have a couple students who use this. Some of my students have horrible, horrible handwriting, and I can't read anything they ever write. So Google Drive is really cool. More for middle and high school. All the storage is online, so they always have their files. You can store any kind of file. What I typically do is I create their assignments in Word, and then when I upload it, it converts it to a Google Doc. So then they can edit it there. You can see it on multiple things. Like they can have it if they did it at home and then they forgot to send it to me that night. They can, and they have a phone. They can get on their phone and then send it to me real quick. So then they don't really ever forget to turn stuff in. You can share files and folders. They can create a whole different. They could do spreadsheets, which is like Excel. They could do PowerPoints, or I think they call it slides, which is like a PowerPoint. And the nice thing about Google Drive is, this might already be logged in as me, but they can use their own email. Yeah, this one is logged in as me. But if I were new to Google Drive, you would be able to log in as, or they can use their school email. Of course not. Okay. So, what you can have the students do is, instead of having them create an email account, because their parents might not like that, like creating their own email account, you can have them type in their first and last name, and then if you click on I prefer to use my current email address, you type in they can type in their school email here, and then that way they can, it's a school email, but it's not like a separate email account. If I were a parent, I'd feel much more comfortable knowing that they don't have this random email account that somebody's not gonna be on, it's actually the school one. So then you would just go through that. But it's really interesting. A lot of things are becoming more Google Drive friendly, to where, for example, like the haiku learning, they're incorporating the Google Drive. That way they don't have to, carry around a flash drive. And I know the one thing with the haiku learning I was worried about was having students having to like download my file and then save another one, because if we had iPads, they wouldn't be able to do that, but our Surface tablets, they can. So this kind of just simplifies it a little bit. Okay, so another issue that a lot of teachers are having is managing this technology that comes into the classroom. Of course, we're trying to embrace it since we have the BYOD policy, but, really, kids are sneaky. They'll get out their phone, they'll text, they'll get on websites they're not supposed to. So go ahead and take a few minutes to skim through this managing technology in the classroom from EdWorld. And then, I don't know why it's got random pictures, but it's got another managing technology article here. So skim through those two. They incorporate it different ways. And there's a third one, sorry. And then skim through that one as well. So I'll give you just a couple minutes to skim through those. Give you about another minute to wrap up. subjects that you could choose from, so you war, peace, science, kids, money, law, health, arts, and sports. We use this in our science classes. This article that I have up here we've used recently. It talks about animals got bigger and bigger over millions of years, scientists learned. It tells me the word count, and it also gives me the lexile range. So this one is for a lower level lower reading level student. You can click on the 800. Now notice how the picture stayed the same, but the title changed and the word count changed. And that's something I think is really cool, because then you could go up here. It really helps with differentiating instruction. I have some students who are on a 3rd grade reading level, so I give them the lower word count, and then I have some students who, I have one in particular who can read at a junior of high school level, so I obviously give her the higher one. But then you can actually assign classes assign students to classes, and then they can read the article and they can take a quiz on it, so then you can judge their reading levels. It really helps incorporate an English language arts class into your science class. It helps tie those two together. And there's been a ton of articles on here that we've incorporated. It's not really hard to find something that does. You can also print it out in a printer-friendly version. The next thing we'll talk about is Explore Learning. This is also good for differentiating instruction. It's good for math and science teachers, and it has online simulations of difficult concepts for grades 3 to 12. When I was looking through this as a math teacher last year, there were some really cool ways with fractions and working with slope that really would have helped me teach those concepts last year. It's as good for elementary, middle, and high school. They have a 30-day trial period. I would definitely try that out before you decide to purchase. You'll need to see how often you're going to use it. And then you would need to talk to your district about purchasing options if it's something that you really wanted. They have these things called gizmos. So you could see different things. Another thing that's really cool, they have a link on here for next generation science standards. And with those standards being so new, you'd actually have to double check and make sure that they fit the standards. I'm sure it does since it's on this website, but then it also is a common core. As a science teacher, I'll click on here. They've got physical sciences, life sciences, earth space, and then engineering, technology, and applications of science. I thought this one was really cool. Just looking at this one, because our next unit is on courses and everything, and they can change the mass, they can change the speeds and everything. So then it has like the cross-cutting concepts of science and engineering practices, and things like that. And then it kind of, how often do our kids ask us if we're going to make things explode? Like, this is something that they could actually like mess with some different chemicals and make it explode when you're teaching chemistry or something. Alright, the next one we'll look at is Compass Learning. My old school used this. They would use this for math and language arts intervention. It's tied into the MAP scores, which a lot of students take the MAP test, and it really differentiates to individual students. And it does use the STAR assessment too. I know Boone County uses the STAR. Your district would have to purchase like a license for each student, so then it would get a little expensive. It's interesting. The feedback that I've gotten before from I taught 8th grade at the time, and the kids didn't really like it that much because they thought that it was 7th grade math last year, they were okay with it, like they thought it was fine. But I'm sure like the younger grades would have more of a, would be more interested. Okay, and then the last thing I'm gonna talk about is Nearpod. This allows you to create presentations that like engage the students. If they have an iPhone or an iPad, or even with our Surface tablets, they can log in using a certain code or what the teacher gives them, and they can go through, and it's interactive. You can have quizzes in there. They can draw stuff, and the teacher can all see what they're doing. I know on the apps for the iPad and iPhone, if they close out of the app and try to go to another app, it actually tells the teacher who left the lesson, so then you could go around and say, hey, why aren't you doing? I think it's more for middle and high school. It's pretty interesting. They have a school edition. Yeah, you just have to check it out. And then, alright, so, based on what you've learned in this PD, what I would like you to do is create a Google Doc and answer these following 6 questions. You can, click on this, highlight, and copy and paste it into a Google Doc. And then once you finish that, go up and then complete this post-PD survey. It's very similar to the first one that you all took. So yeah, go ahead and work on that, and then I'm going to have you, once you finish this Google Doc, I'm going to have you share it to my email address, so then I can see your responses. And also, if you have any questions that you jotted down from the presentation, you can add those onto there, and then I can get back with you.